Prime Minister Abhisit Vejjajiva announced via TV pool about his meeting with diplomatic corps on the government's measures to bring the situation back to normalcy after riots by anti-government protesters earlier this week. The government whip is preparing to request an opening of a parliamentary session for clarifying all incidents occurring during the recently ended anti-government protest, with a framework for the talks to be set next Monday, April 20th. Dubai-based 7 Days newspaper reported yesterday that former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra traveled to a secret location in Africa after the Thai government revoked all of his passports. United Front of Democracy Against Dictatorship or UDD leader Jatuporn Prompan countered claims that he was evading arrest, while stating that he would submit to authorities if the parliament waived his rights to use MP immunity. Sawadee krap and welcome to NNT News. NNT News is brought to you by the National News Bureau of Thailand under supervision of the Public Relations Department. We keep you informed on what's happening in Thailand 24/7. And you're with me, Surapan Lautharanarit. Prime Minister Abhisit Vejjajiva announced via TV pool about his meeting with diplomatic corps on the government's measures to bring the situation back to normalcy after riots by anti-government protesters earlier this week. The premier said he had informed the diplomatic corps of the Thai government's plans to promptly restore law and order as well as confidence among the international community. The government kept on closely monitoring movements by the anti-government red shirts and would lift the emergency decree immediately after the situation completely returned to normal, Mr. Abhisit said. The premier said the diplomatic corps had asked him about the riots and the government's stance in dealing with the protesters. Mr. Abhisit said he had instructed state officials to explain to people in Bangkok and the vicinities that a state of emergency in their areas was only temporary and constitutional demonstrations would be allowed after the emergency decree was revoked. However, he said all activities which would risk violating the law must be stopped during the state of emergency. The premier emphasized that the government was intent on negotiating with the red-shirted group to create reconciliation in the country. The Prime Minister stated further that the announcement of April 16th and 17th as extra holidays has helped facilitate the government's operations to control the situation. The government whip is preparing to request an opening of a parliamentary session for clarifying all incidents occurring during the recently ended anti-government protest, with a framework for the talks to be set this April 20th. Government Whip Chairman Chinawan Bunyakiat disclosed that he had been tasked by Prime Minister Abhisit Vejjajiva with gathering the opinions of coalition government members and senators on holding a parliamentary session to clarify the government's operations during the recent anti-government demonstrations and to discuss possible resolutions to the ongoing political conflicts. Mr. Chinawan stated that an approval from Parliament Speaker Chaichit Chop had already been received, while the date for the session would soon be decided. He added that on this coming Monday, April 20th, the Prime Minister would elaborate his goals for the session and meet with all three whips to set a framework for the talks. Dubai-based 7 Days newspaper reported yesterday that former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra traveled to a secret location in Africa after the Thai government revoked all of his passports. The former Prime Minister's spokesman, meanwhile, claimed that the government could say whatever it wanted, but every Thai national had the rights to hold a passport which could not simply be revoked without adequate reasons. He added that former Prime Minister would land somewhere in Africa and foreign governments were expected to continue accepting his passport even after it had been revoked by the Thai authorities. Meanwhile, the Royal Thai Embassy in Mexico was informed by the government of Nicaragua that the report on its appointment of Mr. Thaksin as its special ambassador was untrue. Deputy Interior Minister Thawan Sengniam denied speculation that the government was set to form a special team during the special cabinet meeting to search for the fugitive former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra. Mr. Thawon said setting up teams to chase after one individual would be a waste of money since his extradition would likely be conducted according to the judicial procedure and diplomatic relations with other countries concerning the legal framework for extradition. The Deputy Interior Minister said the best solution would be for Mr. Thaksin to realize what was right and what was wrong and return to Thailand on his own free will to face trials. He guaranteed that the former leader would be fairly treated like all fellow Thai citizens. United Front of Democracy Against Dictatorship or UDD leader Jatuporn Prompan countered claims that he was evading arrest while stating that he would submit to authorities if the parliament waived his rights to use MP immunity. UDD core leader Jatuporn Prompan currently wanted amongst 13 others for disruptive protests on April 13th, stating that he was not resisting arrest and affirmed that he would face his charges if on Wednesday, April 22nd, the parliament chose not to honor his immunity as a parliament member. Mr. Jatuporn stated that if the parliament waived his immunity, he would instantly report to the Metropolitan Police. The UDD leader, however, denied that he and the red-shirted protesters were responsible for the shooting of 2 residents in the Nang Leung area, as well as the theft of buses and gas trucks, noting a third party as the instigators. Asked about fellow UDD proponent Chakrapop Penkham, Mr. Jatuporn stated that they had not spoken lately and admitted to not knowing if Mr. Chakrapop was still in Thailand. Deputy Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, Police Major General Amnoy Nimano, has indicated that additional arrest warrants may be issued for the disruption of the ASEAN +3 and +6 summits in Pattaya last weekend, as well as the situation at the Ministry of Interior, whilst felony charges have been cited for 27 suspects in custody. Police Major General Amnoy stated that investigative officers are currently reviewing videotapes from incidents of unrest by the anti-government protesters in Bangkok and Pattaya City. He noted that additional arrest warrants might be sought if the videotapes indicated further law violations. The Deputy Commissioner admitted that some cases might be dropped as they were only applicable under the emergency decree and would no longer be valid now that the decree had been lifted, but assured that many of the transgressions the authorities are looking to apprehend demonstrators for are full-fledged crimes that include assault and trespassing. Latest reports have revealed that Mr. Narongsak Mani, one of the 14th suspects police are searching for the ASEAN Summit incident, has contacted police to turn himself in. Police Major General Amnoy said that investigative police would soon apprehend Mr. Narongsak and interrogate him. The Pheu Thai Party has appointed a committee to alleviate sufferings resulted from the dispersal of the United Front of Democracy Against Dictatorship or UDD demonstration. Pheu Thai Party Deputy Leader Plot Prasop Suratsawadi said the party was concerned over the missing people during the crowd dispersal and deemed the appointment of the committee necessary. The committee consists of 4 teams which are designated to receive complaints and requests, inspect the facts, gather and assess information as well as news, and to act as legal consultants. Mr. Plot Prasop said the office of the committee would be located inside the Pheu Thai Party headquarters, asserting that the committee was to help the government disseminate the truth to the public, not for any political motives or to incite any confusion. As for the information claimed by the military that there was no death report during the crowd dispersal, Mr. Plot Prasop said the information might have been concealed or distorted. He said this required time to investigate to confirm whether there was any death. Asked if international organizations should step in and investigate the issue, Mr. Plot Prasop said that he personally deemed the issue unnecessary. Still, he said it was the right of those international organizations to conduct investigation in which the Pheu Thai Party would not be involved. Regarding the news claiming that the military had burned the bodies of those killed in the crowd dispersal at Sakhon Sun Pracha San Temple, Police Lieutenant General Chat Guladilok said he would travel to investigate the matter at the temple, which is now heavily guarded by the troops. It was later found that the troops came from Sakeo province and used the spacious temple ground as their temporary camping site. Monks and residents around the temple also confirmed that no extra cremation had taken place except for those earlier scheduled at the temple. And that's the end of our first section. We'll take a short break now, but up next, The Central Investigative Police raided the D Station television channel's operation facility, confiscating unlicensed signal links and communication radios, and prepared to file charges against the station's owners. Kasikorn Research Center, or KRC, reported on the 6% shrinkage of Thailand's gross domestic product, or